Alright, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a honey extraction by hand. It's a very simple process. So here I have a fresh raw honeycomb that was harvested from the apiary 2 days ago, I believe. What I'm using is this all-purpose tool called a J-hook, which is it's a very great tool to use in a bee apiary. I use it for everything, honestly. There's not much I don't use it for. This is a go-to tool if you're wondering what you might need for your apiary. So we're gonna start this process. First, we're gonna do the main extraction here. Just removing the comb from the frame. And then we're going to do a filtering of the actual honey from the honeycomb. So here I'm just going on an angle. I'm on a certain angle to allow me to push straight through. You see that honeycomb coming off as one chunk. Very beautiful. So slow and steady. Oops, almost spilled it there. Let me back this honeycomb up, this frame. Be careful. Those bees work so hard to acquire this honey, and you work so hard to go and harvest this honey from those bees, so you want to be careful not to waste any, right? Just kind of scrape off the edges there. Alright, that's good enough. Then we're going to flip it to the other side. You can use any type of container you want. I just knew that this container wasn't going to overflow with the honey, so that's why I used this one. So when I harvest my honey, I like to put the honeycomb to the side for myself. So I'm gonna filter that honeycomb out from the honey. I'm gonna jar that honey, and then I'm gonna save that for winter time when winter arrives, so I can have some honey for winter. I'm just gonna eat the honeycomb for now. The honeycomb is so delicious. I mean, honestly, it tastes better than just eating the honey by itself. So that's another reason why I like to have the honeycomb, because it's, number one, it's like chewing gum, so you can use this to replace any type of candies you might eat. But it's definitely like chewing gum, and it's much more tasty, in my opinion. I think pretty much everybody would agree if you try some honeycomb. I think you would agree that it's better than any candy you've had. So I think that's good right here. I'm gonna get another empty container, and I'm gonna let this drip down into that container for a few hours, because this honey is so thick that it doesn't all just pour out at one time. So you gotta let it, like, see how it's dripping now. It's gonna drip for a few hours until most of the honey is off of the frame. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring all this inside and let it drip. And after that, we'll start with the filtering process. Well, while this is dripping, we'll start with the filtering process. Guess I'll eat this piece since it fell. Delicious. All right, so I'm gonna get this into the empty container. Be back real soon. So here we have the honeycomb frame. We have it standing. Just letting it drip down into this container here. Both sides are able to drip down into there. A couple of pieces on the edge. I'm just gonna eat that myself. Now here, what I like to do with these honeycomb, when I'm getting ready to start filtering it, I like to get most of it out of that honey because that honeycomb soaks up that honey real good. So I really want this to dry out a little bit. Well, basically, I want the honey to drip out of it. I don't want the honey going back into the comb. I want it coming out of the comb. So, but first, we're gonna weigh this jar because I also want to get the weights of how much honey I can get from one frame. So this is a 1 quart jar, and so 13.4 ounces. So we're gonna just basically subtract that from the weight of whatever we're able to get out of this. I'm hoping that I can at least get 1 quart from a frame, which will mean I would be able to get 10 quarts from a whole honey super, because that's only one of 10 frames that was pulled out of the honey super. So I'm going to start setting this up so we can get all this filtered into here. Give me a second. Okay, so basically, guys, what I like to do is pop the jar open. I like to use this little handy tool right here. This is just for when you're harvesting small amounts of honey. Now, with larger amounts of honey, you want to use the actual the honey extractor where you could put multiple frames in it. But if you only have like just a couple frames, you know, or something, you could do that by hand. It's real quick. So I like to use this citrus press. The more holes, the better, because basically it'll increase the, or it'll lower the amount of time that it takes for all that honey to drip out. So this one only has that many holes, so it just takes that much longer to for it all to drip out. What I like to do is I like to sit this J-hook in between there. Let me clean this honey off of it first, though. So I like to sit this J-hook right in between here. Yep, just like that. And it keeps that the strainer there, so I don't have to tend to it very much. And then basically I start stacking this honeycomb on top of the other honeycomb just to make a mountain of honeycomb and get it out of that liquid honeycomb. Out of that liquid honey there. Then I just try to pour as much of that liquid honey into there without the honeycomb, because the honeycomb is going to take up a lot of space. It's dripping on both sides. Spilling a lot of it. Sorry about that. Trying to keep it at the angle and I'm spilling it. That's okay though. And you can see here that it's dripping. And basically I'm going to repeat that process as many times as is required. I fill it up to the top every time and let it slowly drip. It normally takes about 5 minutes or so for it to drip and for me to come back and refill it again. So I'm gonna repeat until this jar is full, and I'll be back in a little bit once this is done. Drip, 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 drip. So something I like to do while I'm waiting, I want to show you. It's about full. So something I like to do while I'm waiting, because honeycomb is an absolute delicacy, so try to eat as much of it as I can. Basically, I find like the driest pieces of honeycomb. You see that? So I find the driest pieces of honeycomb, and then I like to squeeze it together here and press that honey out. So what that's gonna do is separate that honey from the honeycomb, but I only do this for the pieces that I'm getting ready to eat. So as I don't have to wait on this honey to drip out of this honeycomb anymore. I basically press a majority of it out, and then I eat it. So this is a delicacy, like I said, very delicious. Wow. Better than any sweets you can buy in the store, I promise you. So here we are with the quick check-in. The quart jar is a little bit over halfway full. I need to refill the strainer again. It's been basically taking about 40 minutes to an hour for me to have to refill it each time. So you can see I have the honeycomb pushed to the side. So basically what I like to do is when this is exposed, basically, like when the honeycomb is exposed, I like to let it sit a little bit longer before I add extra honey, so I can squeeze it just to get any extra little juice out of there. Then I eat this, and then I basically refill it again, and that just helps it drip faster, basically. If there's a bunch of honeycomb material in there, number one, you're only going to be able to put a less amount of honey in there compared to if you take the honeycomb out, you could put way more in there. So I'm going to refill this again and check in a little bit. All right, here we are with another check-in, and it's probably been about 6 to 8 hours, but we finally made some major progress. Essentially, the bottle is full. It's past the quart mark. You can see it's in the neck, so I'm gonna terminate this bottle. It's finished. I'm gonna use another jar to catch the rest because I still have that much left from that same honeycomb. So I'm just gonna get a weight of this jar here. So basically, I want to see how much honey comes out of this. So zeroed out, 8.4 ounces. This was 13.4 ounces. Just keep that in mind. All right, so I'm about to get this capped up right quick, and then we're gonna weigh this. Okay, I transitioned the strainer to over there. Let's get this capped up. So this was 13.4. Oh, this was 13.4 ounces. This little thing almost fell. All right. Wow, that's heavy. Man, that's heavy. I've never felt a jar so heavy in my life. 3 pounds, 11 ounces. So, almost, because this was 13.4, so it's 2 ounces short of 3 pounds. 2 ounces short of 3 pounds. That ain't bad. I'm gonna wait for this to finish dripping out. Basically keep loading it up until this is finished, and we'll check back and see what the total weight was from one honeycomb. The honey has finished dripping. What we're left with is this honeycomb right here.
you don't see the rest of the that larger amount of honeycomb from earlier is because I ate it all as it was dripping. Like I said, the perfect delicacy, the perfect snack, A1. Highly recommended. So we're gonna get this off of here and we're gonna do a measurement of the weight. This jar was 8.4 ounces. So just gonna lift this up here. Let's see. I don't wanna sit this down because it still has honey on it, but so the large jar back there, the full one, weighed in at I don't recall, but I know it was 2 pounds and 14 ounces basically of honey worth of honey in there. So 8.4 ounces, and this is basically 1 pound. It's 15.9 ounces. So it's about 7.5 ounces of honey. And then add that to the, let me see. So the jar was 8.4 ounces. We have 7.5 ounces of honey in there. Oh, that's so heavy. And this jar was 13.4 ounces. So this one was 2 ounces short of a pound. And then we have the 7 right there. So add those 2, and that'll be 3 pounds plus 5 more ounces. 3 pounds, 5 ounces worth of liquid honey from the, so 3 pounds, 5 ounces worth of liquid honey from the honeycomb that I was able to extract. Now to make this process go faster, because it took about 10 hours or more, and honey is so thick, so it takes a long time to drip, especially when you have a minimal amount of surface area for it to drip through. So I ordered a strainer a couple of days ago, so I'm just waiting on it to come through Amazon. But it'll expedite the process once it does come in and I'm able to use it. But that's not bad. 3 pounds, 5 ounces, guys. And I want to compare this to another honey that I have, which came from the same hive, but they're different colors. Without even looking too hard, you can honestly see how dark this one is. This one is basically a black honey. I mean, it's absolutely black. Even when it was when I was first pouring it into this one, when I was first the honeycomb that I used to fill this jar with, when it was even at this level right here, it was black. So this honey right here is basically this one right here. Now this one looks a little bit darker because there's more honey in there, and the jar is actually a little bit wider, so less light is able to pass through it, making it look darker than what it actually is. But you can kind of see through it. It has a little tint that you can see through. Now take note, this jar is wider than this one. So this one is 1 quart. This one is 750 milliliters, which is just under a quart, but it's more than this jar here. I'm not sure what size this is. I believe that's either 12 ounces. I don't think it's a pint. I believe that's like 12 ounces right there, a 12-ounce jar. But this one right here, you cannot see through it. I mean, that's, oh my goodness, it's like molasses. So I'm gonna get one more shot of these when the sun is out, because it's dark now. But once the sun is out, I'm gonna bring these outdoors, and then we'll get a real good idea of the color of this one versus these. And they all these two are the same. They came from the same honey frame. This one came from a different frame, but they all came from the same hive. So see y'all in the morning. I'm gonna get a shot of those.